Hey guys, this is just a test video. I'm just doing this for the fun of it. I like to see how it goes. Alright, I'm on, as you can tell, I'm on catfriendly.com. It's a great site if you want to look and see where the salary is and where players are and how much they make in the NHL. I believe they do other sports, but NHL is the main sport. Okay, my favorite team is the Dallas Stars. I've been a fan of it for a while, and I found this site and I've just been playing with it, and I haven't touched anything on this site yet. This is how they have it set up on Cap Friendly. The minors, the non-roster players, the AHL guys, then you have the NHL. Alright. Yeah, I'm doing this because I don't know why, but I'm a fan of the off season. I like the season. I like watching the games, but the off season is very intriguing to me because, well, I like to be able to move players around, see what I can do, just to kind of. I like playing GM in that, give or take. So this is, like I said, this is how they have it set up. The new guys that just came in this offseason, if I get names messed up at all, sorry, I'm not perfect. Hockey names are actually really hard, but I should be alright with these Dallas guys because like I said, this is my favorite team. I always watch them, but I watch all NHL. I feel like I'm well versed when it comes to hockey, sports, anything at all. I have a knack for it. I can talk about sports all day long. This is my comfort zone. So as of right now, the roster size is set at 19. The salary cap has actually moved up. It is now $79.5 million. Our current cap hit is at $71 million. $71 million at, yeah, as you can tell, it's not exactly 71. And then bonuses, $500,000, and cap space, we have just over $8 million left in cap. All right, so if you've been on Twitter or have been around hockey here recently, you know all the rumors dealing with Erik Karlsson. Okay, Erik Karlsson's a big name player. Everyone loves Erik Karlsson. He is not in a great situation right now in Ottawa. Ottawa has actually been going through a lot of downfall right now because they go from one goal away from being in the Stanley Cup Finals to just absolutely awful this year. I don't know what the cause of that is. Everyone can point fingers at any little thing here. Sometimes it's just how it works. So, the rumors that Erik Karlsson come to Dallas. In this video, I'm going to show you what I think could happen. This is all hypothetical. I like to play hypothetical games. I like to see what things could look like. Anybody can do this. It's not rocket science. You can always come up here, Cap Friendly, and go to Armchair GM and just work it. Figure out cap. I love playing with money and players like this. Okay, so like I said, right now the roster is set just like this. On the left wing, it's just Jamie Benn and Blake Como. Okay, we just signed Blake Como to a $2.4 million contract, and it's for 3 years. Okay, and then down the center, I don't know. I guess it's the money cap. That's how they have it set up. But it should be like that. Seguin on top, Spezza's center on the 2 line. Tyler Seguin down the middle, Jason Spezza, Martin Hanzal, Devin Shore, and Radek Faksa. These guys right here, I like to do that. And sometimes Radek Faksa is a 2 center. I mean, Spezza should be the number 2 center, but sometimes he doesn't play like it. And Radek Faksa is actually a really good player. He's not going to blow you up on points, but he's a grind him out, check line guy. Okay, and the thing is, this contract, I didn't like it when we signed it, but we have to deal with it. And sometimes Devin Shore can be moved on the wings. just to kind of get that 4 centers. Unless he goes on IR or injured, anything, he gets bumped out of the lineup. And right wing to end it off on the forwards, Alexander Radulov, Valery Nichushkin, Brent Ritchie, and Tyler Pitlick. Solid right wing. It's great great 2 line right wingers. Front 2. The 3rd line and the 4th line, that's where you get the drop off. But Brent Ritchie can play top 6, but you don't want to have him up there. You'd rather him be the 3rd line right winger or even 4th line right winger, depending on how stacked the wingers are. And Tyler Pickett, he's a good sign. 2 years, $1 million, great value signing, great spot. Okay, now left defenseman, right defenseman. Left, we'll start with that. Mark Mathot, great. He was great with Erik Karlsson. That's why everyone's, I guess, kind of kick-started it. They were actually defensive pairings in Ottawa. And Esa Lundell, he's a good defender, top 4 max. I don't think unless he develops more that he's going to be that first pairing guy. Then the right winger or right side defenseman, John Kleberg, Stephen Johns, Roman Polak. A lot of money for Roman Polak, but I see it more as 1 year, hey, here's your money, mentor these guys. Sometimes you're going to be a healthy scratch. So we'll pay you, teach these guys, help them learn the game in the NHL. And then, of course, Julius Honka, which has been rumored off and on about Erik Karlsson trade. And then goaltending. Ben Bishop, 5 years, $4.9 million left on that contract. Long term, not bad on money hit, actually. Antoine Hudobin, 2.5, 2 years. We just signed him. Excellent value backup in case Ben Bishop goes down, which he's been known to do. I'm not going to go through all these non-roster guys, but I'll just highlight a few. Okay, Colton Point. We just signed him to a two-way. I believe it was an entry-level two-way contract. I might be wrong on that, but this is his first year pro. I think he can be that number 1 goalie starting out in the AHL, because we just got rid of Mike McKenna. Mike McKenna, I believe, went to Ottawa AHL team. I believe he went there. Miro Heiskanen, of course, everyone knows about him. I'm going to go ahead and throw him up there. There's no reason why. He's going to be on the roster. Hopefully. Cross my fingers. And, of course, Jason Dickinson, who we just signed not that long ago to this contract. And then, of course, Rupe Hintz, great player. Been watching a lot of these guys in the Calder Cup run. And they're actually a really solid team. And I just passed one over, but Darius Guryanov, decent player, but what surprises me is he's a first-round pick, yet he was a healthy scratch a lot of the times in the playoffs and even in the regular season, which blows my mind. There's something missing. He's not quite there. Maybe he needs a change of scenery, and I'll show you later on why that probably is what's going to happen. And, of course, Remy Alley. Remy Alley actually played for the Dallas team during the season, and then come the end of the NHL season, he moved down to the AHL for their Calder Cup run. A solid player. He's not going to blow up you in points, but I would say he's I wouldn't say he's agitator. He's no Antoine Roussel, which was a huge loss for us in a way because he's fan favorite. But Remy Alley's a good depth guy. Okay. Just like you see, the overview of the whole roster. I'm just going to go ahead and start this out, okay? I already done this off the side. I already have it done and submitted and formatted, and it's on the cat-friendly Archam GM. I've already published this team, but I'm just going to show you how I did it. Okay, and we're going to go all the way down to Ottawa. And of course, we're going to go for Erik Karlsson. So we can go ahead and throw him on there. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and get these draft picks out of the way. And the draft pick is the first rounder this upcoming draft. And since we don't have a number 2 overall pick, or second round pick in 2020, I put down for a 2021 second, but it can also be a first if we make it to the playoffs. And like what I was talking about before, this guy needs a change of scenery. Gurrianov's a good player, but I think it's just time for him to change. And like I said, Julius Honka, rumored in a bunch of trade rumors. And I like this guy, and we just signed him to a $2.3 million contract for the next 2 years. He was an RFA. If we're going to do this, we have to get rid of some guys that we don't want to get rid of. That's going to happen. So this is the trade layout. And I'm just going to go ahead. As you can see, if you need to pause it right here and just kind of get an overview, this is what's going to change over. I'm going to go ahead and submit that trade. And you can kind of see now that we're at $75 million. We're still under the cap. But one thing you cannot forget is Dallas actually has 3 guys RFA'd. And they're going for arbitration right now. Okay? Just based on these numbers, Dylan Hetherington should get around the same amount as this. He did okay in Dallas. He's just not quite ready yet. He's going to spend, I believe, the whole season down at AHL unless something happens. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give him, which these aren't going to be 100% accurate. I'm not Jim Neal. I can't tell you what it's going to be, but $800,000 feels like a decent amount. Give him 2 years. Sign him right there. And of course, Mattias Janmark. He's going to get way more than $700,000. What I put down for him is $2.5 million. And at a 3-year contract, should be like a bridge contract for him. Probably worth a whole lot more once that contract's done, hopefully. And then with Jamel Smith, he's a good player, but he's actually only projected to be an AHL top 6 forward. He can play up to the NHL, but if our roster is going to be like this for a while, I don't know if I'd want him up there right now. I'd want him to gain some experience down in AHL and figure things out. So right now, I'm just going to give him an $850,000 contract for 2 years. These aren't going to be 100% accurate, like I said. It's not going to be perfect, but I'm just trying to guesstimate what I believe they'll make with this. Okay, so with that, we're actually right at the cap. We're at $10,000, just over $10,000 over the cap. And since I did that, there's one thing I'm going to do. You can be, I believe it's 10% over the cap during the off season before the season starts. But once that season starts, you got to trim it back down. This is just what I'm going to do. Is saying I'm not doing this because it's rumored or anything. I'm just doing this to clear cap space, and I believe he can be a good value player for another team. And what I did is, this isn't a team that's rumored either. I just picked a Buffalo team because I believe they actually need more forward help, more depth. They got great forwards, but they need depth. I'm not even going to touch the players. I just want, hey, if you want, why not give me maybe your 4th rounder in 2020? Submit trade. We're still there. We're still at this because you know what? Non-roster players, they do not actually hurt your cap until they're called up. That's why I'm gonna do this. Jason Dickinson. I'll fix all of this here in a bit. So we're at 80.3 million. And I believe the way I had it was so. And with this, the next thing I did, Jamel Smith, I know I just signed you, but I think you would be not a bad pick for Vancouver. I don't know why I'm going through the players, but I put down here for a 5th rounder in 2019. These are just draft picks just to get them off the books, throw them out there. I'm not saying this will happen. It's just, let's just see what happens. And we're still kind of over the cap. And that's because we actually have this guy. Put him in the non-rosters. And I'll fix all this. And look at this. We have just under $800,000 in cap, which is not bad for this coming season. We won't be able to really do much probably during the trade deadline, but it's not a bad start. Okay, let's fix these lines. Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin, Radulov. Perfect first line. Second line. This is where it's kind of gonna get. It drops off a little bit. This is what I'm gonna do. Mateusz Janmark, you're gonna be the second line left winger. Jason Spezza, second line center. Valery Nichushkin, second line right winger. Great. He has great potential. He should be able to. It was a great signing for us and great. I believe we could have picked somebody else, but it was a good draft pick. He's back from Russia. Let's see what he can do. I believe he'll do great. Third line center, Radek Fatsa, Blake Como, and Brent Ritchie on the third line. Fourth line, Martin Hansel, Jason Dickinson, and Tyler Pitlick. As you can see, just like Janmark and Dickinson are centers, but they mostly play wings. But Jason Dickinson can play center. It's been a while since Mateusz has. And that's your forward group. Alright, let's go to defense. I know Mark Mathot is not a top pairing guy, but we have Erik Karlsson. So this is what I believe will be the first line defense. Mark Mathot and Erik Karlsson. Just to kind of see if there's still that magic there between them two. If not, we can always rearrange this. And second line, of course, Miro Heiskanen. He's been rumored to be. That's what Ottawa wants for Erik Karlsson, but Dallas is not even going to bother talking about it. We're not even going to consider getting a Miro Heiskanen, and I understand why. He could be potentially your next franchise defenseman, even though we already have one before Erik Karlsson. If we get him, John Klingberg, underrated signing. You'll find out. Look at that. $4.25 million a year for the next 4 years. He could easily be making what Erik Karlsson's making right now, no problem. And that's the second line. Third line, Esa Lindell. He can be the top 4 defenseman, but we don't really have to have him in the top 4. We're gonna have him in the top 6. Back to this. Third line center, Esa Lindell. Like I said, he can play 4, but we don't have to have him there. And then, of course, Stephen Johns, who we just signed to a 3-year, $2.35 million contract per season. And that leaves Roman Polak out of the top 6. He can always come back up if one of these guys gets hurt. But ideally, I don't want him to play as much. I hope everyone's healthy. Everyone hopes that for their team. It's just how it happens. Some people get hurt. You have to have a backup plan. That's why Roman Polak's there, and that's why I just signed Dylan Hetherington. We have to have him because he did come up last season. He did do a decent job, but he's not quite ready yet. And like I said before, Ben Bishop, Antoine Kudobin, then at the bottom with that. That's how it's going to be for a while, for the next at least 2 seasons. And that's the roster right there. And just like I said, we just have just under 800,000. And this is how it's going to be. This year, we're going to be right at that. Right at the cap. But next season, that's how every team is. And the following season, you're always going to have more cap space because you're not worried about next season right now. You're worried about this season right now. And we're only at just under $50 million in caps, or at cap hit. But that's just because Spets is coming off the book, Sagan's coming off the book. These aren't big hits, but they're coming off the book. Karlsson would be, Martin Thought would be, Roland Pollock would be. And that's the big ones. Because that's a lot of money just between 4 guys right there. The UFAs and Roland Pollock. But he's not going to resign. Spezza can be gone. If not, we can re-sign him. We can re-sign him at a cheaper deal just to kind of stay on the team and try to ride for a cup. Hopefully we get there. And of course, Tyler Seguin, I hope he doesn't go anywhere. I don't know why Dallas would even consider taking him off the roster. He's a great guy with Jamie Benn, Radulov. Watch that line play. They're absolutely amazing. I believe he'll get, since the cap went up, he'll get more than Jamie. Probably at 10-5 or even 10. I believe that would be what the case would be. And yeah, that's just about does it. I hope this is what happens. I root for Dallas. I'm excited. We had a great offseason last year, but it's not about winning the offseason. It's about winning the postseason. And hopefully we're able to do this with this roster. All right, guys.